There we go. Hello. So, remember all that shit I was saying about how if you get your nitration mixture too hot, it'll dissolve the cotton balls. It'll leave the cotton balls entirely. Yeah, so I did that. That whole thing about let's try heat, terrible failure, as it turns out. Because, yeah. So those cotton balls I was making on the last stream are gone. They're now CO2. So we need to make more. Oh, let me get my trowel out of there. Right, don't want to dump acid on that. Put it over here. Anyway, I need to make more gun cotton, proper gun cotton, and now I've found, let's just not do heat. Let's not add heat to it. It worked okay to put the cotton balls in the nitration mixture just at room temperature and leave them there. So we're going to try that again. But the other thing is I'm pretty low on nitric acid. Shit. So I'm going to need to make more. Now I have nitric acid all over my hands. Get out of there. So, first thing is first. Let's go ahead and start another nitration reaction. And this time we will not add a heat. It turns out adding heat is not good for the nitration reaction. Alright. Graduated cylinder. And I'm just going to go ahead. Ooh, there's a piece of fuzz on there. Up there. What are you doing, bud? Oh my goodness. A little spider just landed on the graduated cylinder. I think he's regretting his decision. Alright. So after 100 milliliters of nitric acid, I've got about, I don't know, like 50 to 70 milliliters left in the flask. I really need to make more. So we're doing 50-50 nitric acid and sulfuric acid again. And I forgot my sulfuric acid upstairs. That's okay. That's a good chance to rinse the acid off my hands. I'll go do that. So I keep saying the cotton balls dissolve in there. Maybe that's a little bit misleading. I don't think, at least as far as I understand the chemistry, they're not dissolved. They're completely oxidized to the point that it's just CO2 and water. If I understand correctly, that's sulfuric acid really wants to turn everything into water and carbon dioxide. So you get it hot enough, and that's what it does to cotton balls. Instead of nitrate, well, it nitrates them, and then it eats them and turns them into CO2 and water, just like you do. So, yeah, don't jump up here, buddy. You're gonna get a bunch of acid fumes in the face. Yeah. So, the adding heat was a mistake, as it turns out. Is what that all boils down to. Do not add heat. Okay. 100 milliliters of sulfuric acid. Yummy, yummy. I actually added it in the correct order. All right. My nitric acid probably has more water than the sulfuric acid. Still, even though the sulfuric acid has been sitting in the fridge for a long-ass time, still probably purer than my homemade nitric acid. Let's add cotton balls. Wow. Where'd my thermometer go? I had a glass thermometer. It was very useful, actually, as a stirring rod. There it is. You're very orange. You're turning very orange, my friends. I've noticed. Fluffy. What is wrong with you, Rations? Yeah? Oh, did I hide the fucking chicken bones from you? Yeah? You little bastard? Oh, sucks to suck. Fucking Rations is sitting here whining at me. I'm pretty sure he's whining at me because so I had chicken drumsticks for supper. And, well, I had chicken drumsticks for supper last night as well. And this little fucking asshole dug the bones out of the fucking trash can and was gnawing on them. So I was wondering, this morning I woke up and I'm like, what? Why are you... Usually you're bugging me real bad to get breakfast, right? Well, it turns out the reason he wasn't bothering me is because he was full up on chicken bones. So, after that, I locked the trash can in a cabinet so he couldn't get to it. And now he seems to be upset that he can't get at the trash to salvage more chicken bones. Because he's an asshole. Yeah. Alright, I'm just going to load this thing up. As many cotton balls as I can. We're going to make as much nitrocellulose as we can in this one shot. I'm sure this process needs optimized badly, but we'll work on that later. Aww. Meow. Oh. Oh. Careful, bud. Mind the acid fumes. What? Yeah, the acid fumes are no joke. Interestingly, everything in the basement has rusted for some reason that I just cannot figure out for the life of me. But like my, okay, so I have a, oh, careful, bud. I threw acid out over there. You don't want to walk there. No, get out of there. Get out of there. Careful, bud. But yeah, all my everything is rusting. You know, this punch I have is all rusty. This hammer is all rusty on the faces that the paint isn't on. Fucking my revolver down here has got rust on the barrel, which is probably not showing up on camera, but anywhere there's just surface rust all over, even through the bluing. I can't figure it out. I don't know why. Very interesting, actually. I was expecting that to happen earlier than it did. I wonder if it's rained the past couple days. Maybe the water in the air is kind of necessary for the acid to really attack everything, if that makes sense. Get under there. Get under the acid. There we go. There we go. That's a lot of cotton balls already. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Okay. Let's add... you know what? We're getting to the point. If I add more, they're not going to be under the acid. So, I mean, they're poking above the acid a little bit now, but I think if I add more, it's going to be not working properly. So, oh, Jesus. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to let that nitrate for a day at least, maybe a couple days, and see where that leaves us. So, next thing. I need to make more nitric acid for myself. So, there's a reaction actually. The reaction I've used in the past to create more nitric acid is sulfuric acid and potassium nitrate, which, as far as I understand, is sort of the most active and easiest way to create nitric acid from chemicals you can just fucking buy. You can buy potassium nitrate and you can just buy sulfuric acid. It ain't hard. You can't buy pure nitric acid. Apparently that's hard to do. I guess it might be something to do with the fact that nitric acid is very useful for making bombs. So, sulfuric acid is H2SO4 chemically. 2 hydrogen atoms and a sulfate? It must be a sulfate ion, right? But an SO4 group. And then the potassium nitrate, of course, is KNO3. The resultant products are nitric acid, obviously, our intended product, which is HNO3, and potassium sulfate, which is K2SO4. So, let's see, I need a surface to write on here. Look at this, I'm actually doing chemistry. So, we've got... Yeah. Shit. So we've got H2SO4 plus KNO3. I don't know how many KNO3. Plus KNO3. Why is my pen not writing? Goes to, what were our products? Potassium sulfate, K2SO4, plus nitric acid, which is HNO3. Yeah, HNO3. Okay, so we've got 2 hydrogen atoms on the left. Got 1. Alright, let's put a 2 there. Alright. Oh, so we need 2 potassium nitrate moles? Alright, so we've got H2SO4 plus 2 KNO3 goes to 1 K2SO4 and 2 HNO3 moles. All right, so that's our stoichiometry. That's our chemical formula. So that's the reaction we're doing. I took the liberty of adding up, I took the liberty of grabbing the molecular weights of the relevant elements we've got. So hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, potassium, and sulfur. So for hydrogen, we've got 1, obviously, gram per mole. So we've got 2 of those. Plus the sulfur is 32.1. And the oxygen, we've got 4 of those times 16 is 1224 plus 40, so 56. Uh, 2 plus 32.1 plus 56 is something. If I can find a little button press, let's see. Got my calculator ready. 2 plus 32.1 56 equals. All right, so we've got a molecular weight of 90.1. And then we've got the potassium nitrate there. That's 39.1 plus the nitrogen is 14 plus the oxygen, we've got 3 of those. That's 3 times 16. That's 18 plus 30. So 30 or 48, excuse me. And that's more than I can do in my head. 39.1 plus 14 plus 48. All right, so for potassium nitrate, we're looking at 101.1 grams per mole, and we need 2 of those. So we have 202.2 grams per mole. And that's not terribly useful. I'm not going to weigh my sulfuric acid, so I need a density. Went ahead and Googled that, and I've got 1.84 grams per milliliter, according to Google. So we'll take that 90.1 grams per mole of the sulfuric acid, and we'll divide that by the whatever I said before, 1.84. All right, so 90.1. Divided by 1.84 is 49.0. .49 milliliters per mole. All right, so we end up with a ratio of 49 to 202.2. Wow, that's very orange. That really looks very orange. Whatever. You know what? That's enough. That's enough acid vapor for now. We'll make more later. What the fuck? You guys just see that? Did that just show up on camera? My nitric acid vial just burped. That was strange. All right. All right, so for every 49 milliliters of sulfuric acid, we need 202.2 grams of potassium nitrate. And look, I gotta be honest with you, that's absurd. Like, I think I'm gonna have to chop that in half. Or more accurately, well, let's weigh out 202.2 grams of potassium nitrate and see how that looks, see how much that is. I grabbed a scale, there it is. Alright, this surface it's on is not level, so this measurement is not going to be very good. But it will be good enough, is what I think. Did I do that right? It's divided by, right? So I'm going from grams per mole to milliliters per mole. How do I go from grams per mole to milliliters? Given grams per milliliter. Yeah, you divide it. Yeah. Let me get my potassium nitrate straight out of the oven. Hot, 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 hot. Hot, hot. Hot, 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 hot. Ooh, she's warm. Fresh out of the oven. Hot. Right, so the potassium nitrate was still wet. It was still very watery. So to dry it out, I went ahead and put it in the oven. And put it at 300 degrees. So I think it's pretty dry now. And what did we need? 202.2 grams of this stuff? What units are we in? Pounds? I don't want pounds. Pounds, ounces, fluid ounces, grams. There we go. All right, and I need a weigh boat of some kind. We use our handy dandy calculation paper. What's this stuff? Which, by the way, this paper apparently weighs 4 grams. Excuse me, 3 grams. Oh dear. Oh! No, it's okay. It's breaking up. I was like, oh geez, the crystals all sintered together real good, but we're good. Nice big chunk. Oh, that's only 5 grams? Oh geez. Oh geez. We're gonna be doing this in an extreme excess of sulfuric acid. I can already tell you. Because we are at 11 grams, and that's already a pretty good amount of potassium nitrate, excuse me. $19 grams. Again, we're shooting for 202.2 grams, and we're already getting to the point that this is a lot. This is a lot of potassium nitrate for the little ass flask, the little ass 500 milliliter flask I want to put it in. And this is still probably a little bit wet. I mean, yeah, I got it out of the oven, I dried it, but it's still gonna be contaminated with a decent amount of water. So, 52 grams. $61 grams. $70 grams. Let's go to 100. Let's go to 100. 81. Alright, the crystals, the potassium nitrate has kind of sintered together pretty well. But we're still getting it, so good enough. Alright, we're at 93 grams of potassium nitrate. 95. Alright. Close enough. 103. So, grab our heating. Oh! Ooh. 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 Almost had glassware go flying onto the concrete floor there for a second. I don't think it would have made it, guys. Let's try to add our 100 grams of potassium nitrate here. Oh dear. Oh, there's a lot. Oh! Okay, well, you know, it's a good thing I weighed some excess anyway. Because we sure lost some of that. But alright, as a reminder, theoretically I would only need about 25 milliliters of sulfuric acid to complete that reaction. We're going to go ahead and do it in excess. Let's go ahead and do 50 milliliters. Where's a good place for you? There is no good place for you. There we go. There we go. It's like greasing the joints. Okay. So, 50 milliliters of sulfuric acid. Boy, that sure is not a lot. All right, let's do 50 milliliters more. And the good news is, because the nitric acid is already hot, the reaction has already started. That's the gas coming out of there is already the nitric acid is starting to form. I don't know. Is that enough nitric acid? Or is that enough? It should be enough. Looks like enough. Alright, where's my grams? Go away. There we go. Oh. Okay. You put it stopper. Don't need you. That guy. And we'll just go ahead and... Oh! I forgot forgot a 90. I need 90. Let me go get a 90. Or did I? Did I forget a 90? I thought I grabbed it, actually. Let's double check. Oh, I did. All right. I didn't forget it. Wait. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Woo! More nitric. Just, we're doing a lot of nitration, okay? We're doing nitration lately. That's been the theme for a little bit. Where'd my bucket of water go? There it is. Okay, let me get my beaker, or not my beaker, my graduated cylinder upstairs before I break the shit out of it. Same with my beaker, actually. You missed it though. I actually used my fancy calculator watch. Now that you can't see because there's no lights on, I'm sure that's very helpful. Let me turn the lights on. Oh, I can't see the fucking clock. On. There we go. All right. Yeah. I actually used my fancy dancy calculator watch, so you missed that. I'm sure it was very exciting for all the viewers that were here. Got my fountain pump, my Aqua Garden Universal Hydroponic Pump, yeah, yeah. I wonder what other people actually use for this. I've been using latex tubing, you know, surgical tubing. Seems to work pretty well. There's got to be other options though. Because the surgical tubing absolutely will not work for a vacuum pump. I can tell you that right now. So if I was to get a vacuum pump for this apparatus, I wonder what I'd need to grab. Go. There we go. Let me grab a stand so those don't kink. Okay. Do we have Wawa? We have Wawa. All right. Now, we can turn the heat on. It's funny, the guy, one of the guys at work today, I was explaining to production, like, hey, we had a machine broken. I was like, hey, I think it might be the CMOS battery in the main computer, you know, because I noticed the time on the screen is way the fuck off. And I happened to look at my watch while I said that, and he's like, can I see your watch for a second? And I showed him, and he's like, I haven't seen one of those. That's got to be an antique. No, they're still making them, dude. You can buy them. $30. I mean, maybe a little bit more than you'd expect, but what else is new? But, all right. So, we have our potassium nitrate in our sulfuric acid, our extreme excess of sulfuric acid. So hopefully we'll start making some nitric acid soon as the reaction really gets started, which I'm already seeing a little bit of yellow. Yellow is good. When you're doing nitration, yellow is good. Yellow means there is nitric present, which is what we want. So let me go grab a beer. Yeah, so basically the potassium nitrate and the sulfuric acid should start making nitric acid soon. It just kind of needs a little bit of heat to get the reaction kick-started. But you can see we're flowing water through our distillation apparatus. So once the nitric acid begins to form, we'll then begin to boil it off and collect it. But yeah, like I said, for some reason, everything in the basement is rusting a little bit. I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but like, even through the bluing, there's just, it's starting to form surface rust. You know, same with my 1911. Again, I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but the back strap there, even though it's all blued, obviously, is still rusting. It's still rusting, which is not even a little bit surprising, but what does surprise me is that it really only started in the past day. Even though I've been fumigating this fucking room with nitric acid for I don't know how long. So, I think it's rained the past couple days. Maybe sort of it needed the water in the air to actually really attack the metal. It's very strange. So now that everything in my basement is covered in a fine layer of alcohol, or excuse me, well, it's probably also covered in that, but a fine layer of acid. Let's add more. Yeah, my potassium nitrate, though, it's all kind of sintered together. Go ahead and bring up. Are you doing anything yet? I mean, that's the other thing. I'm not. All right. I suppose I should do. How much nitric or how much nitric acid would that actually make? All right. So this whole reaction, the H2SO4 plus 2KNO3 goes to K2SO4 and 2HNO3. That 2HNO3, how much nitric acid is that actually? All right, so we've got the that's sulfuric. I have to rinse my hands again. Shit. I love how I can just tell by feel. Oh, that's sulfuric. God damn it. Yeah, sulfuric acid, as it turns out, at least relatively pure sulfuric acid, feels very greasy on the skin. It's a very distinctive feel. Alright, so we've got the 2HNO3. So H is 1, and nitrogen is 14, oxygen is 16. 1, 1. Plus 14 plus 3 times 16 is 3 times 6 is 18 plus 30 is 48. So we end up with, that's 5, 13 plus 50 is 68. So we end up with a molecular weight of 68 grams per mole for nitric acid, excuse me. 2 of those, technically, so we end up with 136. And then, what is the density of nitric acid? I don't feel like determining that experimentally. Let's ask Google. Nitric acid density. Concentration is, we'll say 100% at 20 degrees Celsius is 1.51 grams. It's 1.51 kilograms per liter. That is grams per milliliter. Same thing. So what did we get? 136 divided by 1.5. That only makes you 90 milliliters. Oh dear. Oh, I'm gonna need to add more. I'm gonna need to get more. I'm gonna need to add more fucking potassium nitrate to this to get anywhere near a considerable sum of nitric acid. Oh! Well, shit. Now I mentioned before, I don't want to do that after the reaction has started. Because I did that once, and as it turns out, that ends up, so I had a reaction going, again, in excess of sulfuric acid, so I figured, all right, I'll add more potassium nitrate after everything's dissolved, and then, you know, it'll react very well and everything will be kosher. Yeah, so I opened up a stopper and added more potassium nitrate, and a big fucking plume of nitric acid fumes just came spewing out of it. And literally it coated my hand, basically my entire hand was orange. And added a big fucking streak right down my index finger that was puckered and blistered, and it was a bad deal. So after the reaction has started, do not add more potassium nitrate. It's tempting. You can theoretically, not good in practice. Don't do it. But right now, I can't get that joint undone. That particular joint has become one. So I guess we're just gonna use what we got in there and hope it's good. No, we're not. I spilled a lot of it. Like, it's just not great. Let's see if we can. I mean, this is the one benefit of the potassium nitrate having sintered itself together very well. Maybe we can just throw a chunk in there before the reaction really gets going. We're throwing measuring out the window, guys. We're just doing it by feel now. Because when's that ever led us wrong? And that's already a terrible mistake because I just put a clump in there and it's stuck in the fucking neck. Alright, cool. Cool! Is this not... it's not started yet. Not really. The potassium nitrate has yet to really dissolve and start reacting. Wants to. It's thinking about it. I see some gas bubbles forming. Yeah, alright. We'll be getting there. Yeah, I mentioned it in Discord, but it's kind of funny. CAN. You know, a CAN bus, which is every piece of industrial machinery now uses a CAN network to communicate. So you'll have a computer that talks to a bunch of modules in the machine, right? One module controls the knives, we're talking about slicing machines. I work on meat machines that cut meat, but we'll have one module that controls knives. We'll have another module that maybe it controls the safety, stuff like that, right? But the whole CAN network kind of makes it so machines now work like they're from fucking Warhammer 40K, where like you gotta pray to the fucking Omnissiah for shit to work, because you'll just have weird nebulous connection issues, communication issues between the modules that sometimes are very hard to troubleshoot. So today we had a slicing machine go down that you put in like a loin or something and it cuts it. I think I've talked about this before, but it wasn't talking with the cameras it needs to use to measure the meat, right? And I went around and around with it for a couple hours. It ended up being, I'm pretty sure, the little battery, the motherboard battery on the computer that talks to everything else, kind of coordinates the whole machine. That whole thing, the CAN not the CAN module, that battery, I'm pretty sure ended up making it so it lost the system time on the main computer, and because it lost that system time, it couldn't talk to the various modules, or in particular in this case the camels. So the way I think of it, maybe it was like sending out a ping, right? And it was waiting for a response back, but the response back it got said, all right, you sent me this message, I sent you back this response at 12:02 p.m., whatever. And the main computer is at 11:10 p.m., right? So it's like, what are you talking about? So it just wasn't talking to the cameras. Well, replacing the CMOS battery, the motherboard battery, got that all taken care of. Well, replacing the CMOS battery and actually setting the system time correctly, possibly. But then, so the machine has two lanes, so you got one lane you can load meat on and another lane beside it you can also load meat on. That one of the lanes was working fine. After replacing that battery, started it up, no problems. But the other lane wouldn't start up. It wouldn't start the motors, wouldn't run the conveyor, wouldn't start the cameras, just wasn't working. But it also wasn't sending any fault codes. So I'm like, what? All right, look, I went and told the production supervisor, like, look, I did this, and I got one lane working, the other lane's not working, but it's not sending any fault codes. I think maybe it just kind of needs some time to catch up, if that makes sense. Like the system time got updated, and now it's correct, or at least mostly correct, and now it's just kind of confused and needs a little time to settle down. You know, we'll sacrifice a chicken to it, and maybe it'll start working. And sure enough, we didn't sacrifice a chicken, but I was on the phone with the vendor and updated them on the situation, updated my boss on the situation, all that. And by the time I got back to it about 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, I went out and checked on the machine, and production was running that late, and that was a problem child. So it just sat there for a while and then started working. So, first of all, I felt pretty fucking good because I was right. Like, hey, I think it just needs to just leave it alone and I think it'll be okay. And I was right. Exactly what happened. But then also, yeah, that's the way machines work now. Like, there will be connection issues like that, and sometimes it's just like, just wait, it'll get itself sorted out if you let it. Or, yeah, I don't know, the cosmic rays came and hit it, so it doesn't really connect properly with this module, so we replaced the module, it started working. I don't think this module is actually broken. I think it just doesn't really feel like working with the rest of this machine. But yeah, machines genuinely work like fucking Warhammer 40k now, where it's like, let's go pray. Let's pray over it, and maybe it'll start working. Oh no! Oh, it'd help if I put it at half cock, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm sure if you're like a real hardcore programmer, you could get it to actually send a proper fault code for it, but nobody actually does that. So the guys at the bottom end of the stick, like me, for us it's just basically kind of magic in what the machine feels like. Like, literally, the machine spirit ain't feeling it today. Let's try again tomorrow. And that works! It actually works that way now. It's so silly. But this ain't working. Why aren't you working? Is the heating mantle not heating? My fucking dumbass. Oh my god. You know what? It's not been running. The heating mantle hasn't been heating. You know why? I haven't plugged it in. Why didn't you tell me? Golly. Alright, is the light on? Is it heating? Oh. Oh. Fucking goddamn. Every single one of those steps went over a beer can. Holy moly. Or is there just there's a beer can stuck in my foot. Ah! Suppose that makes sense. Okay. So, maybe at some point, this distillation will start running. Because now it actually has heat. My God. Oh, boy. It's amazing. It's amazing I live from day to day without fucking dying by, like, looking up in the rain and drowning myself like a, domesticated turkey. But, besides accidentally eating all my guncotton from the last run, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by how well the nitration has been going. Overall. Why am I looking at fumes? Why did fumes happen? What are fumes coming from? Whoa! Okay. Okay. Alright, I got fumes coming from the vacuum attachment on the flask. Is that because of stuff being... No. Okay, that is just from the flask of nitric acid. So we're good there. Still got water. Still got water. Excellent. Okay. My ma actually built her own fucking fountain recently. She apparently watched some YouTube tutorials. I felt so proud of her. Like she mentioned, I mentioned how good her fountain looked in her yard. And she's like, yeah, I watched a few YouTube videos on making my own fountains. And I'm like, good for you, Mom. You're watching YouTube videos on how to make stuff. I've done that forever. And I'm glad you're catching up with technology at this point. Not that that's ever really been a problem for her. Like, her mom, grandma was... like, legitimately, she didn't know how to work a VCR. She didn't know how to press play on a VCR. Like, and I think Mom, that always bugged the shit out of my mom. So I think she's always been like, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to do that. So she's probably more tech savvy, at least with actual modern tech that people actually use, like cell phones and shit like that, than I am. Like, I'm still like, I feel like such a boomer when I use my fucking phone. Because it's like, it just does shit that I don't understand. It's like, why are you doing that? Why are you working like a fucking desktop computer? If you worked like Windows XP, I would be able to navigate this perfectly. Everything should have stopped at Windows XP, you know? Including the fucking little dog in the paperclip, right? That everyone disabled by service update 1, and it just stopped mattering. So, but like, if everything worked like it did at Windows XP, I'd be so happy. But it's not. It's not. I hate software. Oh my god, we're actually getting fucking... Oh, we're getting bubbles. We're getting bubbles. We're getting orange. We're getting there. It's happening. But yeah, software developers, all of you, go on strike permanently, please. Stop developing software. It sucks. All of the updates for the past 20 years? 25 years? 30 years? I mean, shit, maybe if you went back to DOS, I'd be able to figure that out. So, software has been nothing but bad for, like, my entire lifetime. Every time anybody updates anything, it always sucks ass. So stop. But we are actually moving on this reaction now that I've actually plugged in my fucking heating manifold. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh. Everything's turning orange, which again, for this particular use case, is a good thing. We're getting fumes, also a good thing in this case. Well, okay, maybe a good thing. Is my glass cracked? No. No, it's just residual on the sides. We're getting orange. We're getting orange through the distillation apparatus a little bit. Okay, well, it's not visible there, but it's kind of visible there. So we are going to start making nitric acid, and you can see the clots of fucking potassium nitrate I tried adding in there, which was a terrible mistake. But that's okay. You know, we're using this nitric acid for nitration reactions. So who cares if it has a little potassium nitrate contamination? That'll just nitrate more. Probably, maybe, hopefully. Yeah. Yes, okay. And still not, every time I manipulate the camera, I end up zooming it in a little bit. Always need to remember to zoom it back out. Whoa, whoa, we are getting a lot of transfer. That's probably more than we want. Oh my goodness. Oh, are we driving it too fast? I can virtually guarantee you we were driving this reaction too fast. Or not the reaction, the distillation, I shouldn't say. I can virtually guarantee you we're driving this fucking distillation way too fast and putting some water over. Probably gonna have to distill this nitric acid again. Happens. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. Beautiful. And I can tell by how itchy my skin is from that it's definitely acid. There we go. Just dispose of the acid on my skin by putting it in the cooling water for the distillation apparatus. How much Wawa is in that? How much Wawa is in that fucking... Can I get a drip? Oh, okay. All right. That's still... Judging by how much the drips fume as they're dropping, that's still mostly nitric acid coming over. So we didn't terribly contaminate everything, but I think it will be best to distill this nitric acid, this resultant nitric acid, after we're done. We're going to do a double distill, because otherwise everything's too watery. So, well, let me go ahead. You know what I think it was, actually? You know what I'm pretty sure actually fumigated my entire basement with acid? Was actually that little beaker, that little 50 milliliter beaker that I went ahead and burnt a glove in with nitric acid. I'm pretty sure all the nitric acid and the fucking glove goo in that evaporated off and coated everything, now that I think about it. Because when I came back to it, that beaker was empty with a little film of shit in the bottom of it. But let me grab that, well, clean that beaker and then grab it. Clean sock, fresh out of the dryer. Right. It's relatively clean, I think. So, got a nice, fresh, clean beaker. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Like it. And then while this distillate is rather impure, I would like to try and go ahead and dissolve some of my mercury in it. Just a little bit, just to test the concept. I need to make a shock sensitive explosive, right? To make my own homemade primers. And at least for me, the easiest one to do appears to be fulminated mercury. But while we're working with a somewhat probably impure nitric acid, we can give that a test run. A small test run. But you can see now it's all gone quite substantially orange, in fact. Woo! Ah! So yeah, we've definitely got nitric acid being produced, because that's, from everything I've seen, that orange is very indicative of that. So we are getting somewhere. There we go. Are we centered? Yeah. Bruh. Bruh. Oh, that is barely any nitric acid, though. Yeah. God, I really do. I should have done more. I should have added. I should have put more potassium nitrate in here. Really should have done that. So, whoopsie doodle. More heat, more hot. Maybe we're just not driving anything. I mean, we do have. There's still a little bit of solid potassium nitrate down at the bottom. Just a teensy bit, but not much. Yeah, I must have. It's definitely leaving that little vial of potassium nitrate, nitric acid, and dissolved glove was what fumigated my entire fucking basement. So at least I know that my product that I had after my distillation was relatively pure, because not even, what's the smallest graduation on this thing? Not even 10 milliliters of the stuff after being reacted with something. I mean, in excess, but not much. That was enough to fumigate my entire basement with acid. Just by sitting there evaporating on its own, which is nuts. Because I've got rust on everything now. I mean, look at this magazine. I wonder if this will show up. So this magazine has a very thick coating of bluing. And, yeah, it ate through that shit in multiple places. I mean, it's a fucking Metgar magazine, so it's not going to be great to begin with, but it's still something. And, yeah, it's got multiple spots of very apparent rust eaten straight through the bluing, which is really something. Can I make geckos still? Or is this... well. Let's try a Gila. These Aguila? These cheap-ass 22 LR bullets I found. They work pretty well in rimfire revolvers, but The auto pistol seems to have trouble with them. I wonder if just putting a stronger firing pin on my Smith & Wesson Victory would make it more reliable. I'm kind of thinking about it. I mean, the trigger pull is already kind of ridiculously light, so it doesn't need, like, having the stronger firing pin, having the stronger hammer spring won't make the fucking trigger pull too bad. It's already ridiculously light, so that's not a concern. Oh yeah, now we're moving. Now we're moving on this distillation. Alright, I'm not going to make much nitric acid to begin with, so I better calm the fuck down here. I wonder, what's the boiling point of potassium sulfate? It's got to be real high. It's a salt, right? Alright, so, whoa! Despite overdriving the fuck out of this reaction and definitely contaminating this nitric acid with water, we're very clearly making at least somewhat concentrated nitric acid. Because look at that fuming. Whoo, buddy! Just ridiculous. I love it. Fire this real quick. Get this out of here. Let me go grab my mercury. Okay. Now I'm not going to properly calculate this reaction because I don't feel like it, but I'm just going to go ahead and add this mercury to the nitric acid we have. Concentrated, at least somewhat concentrated. It's red fuming. I'm going to add this to the red fuming nitric acid I've made and see how it reacts. So it's hissing, it's bubbling, it's definitely dissolving. We are definitely getting somewhere. And I'm trying very hard to stay away from the fumes and such. Since obviously we're dealing with mercury now. Which is a much more potent toxin than anything I've dealt with, honestly. At least on stream, so. Okay. That's all of the mercury out of here. Out of one tilt switch. And that's probably all gonna dissolve just fine. So I'm probably running with an excess of nitrate, or an excess of nitric acid in this case. Alright, that's good to know. It's destroying the nitric acid a little bit, but not too bad. I say destroying, degrading. It's turning very, very orange. I've got a white... Is that a white... Is that... Did the mercury fulminate by itself? Like, you're supposed to add ethanol. You're supposed to add alcohol to it, and that's what completes the reaction, but I've got what appears to be a white solid forming. Or is that... Oh, never mind. Wait, is it? Yeah. No, I've got... I have a white solid forming. At first I thought maybe it was just kind of foam. You know? But, is the mercury fulminating without fucking alcohol added? That'd be very strange. Or is it just not enough nitric acid? Also possible. Let me stay away from all that for a little while the mercury kind of settles. We'll let the mercury settle, and then hopefully it'll be safe to be over there. Not sure. We'll all find out together. I don't know. That's worrying me. I've never heard anything about a white solid forming. Strange. I mean, obviously, it's mercury from a fucking tilt switch, an industrial product. There's gonna be contamination. It's not reagent grade shit. But, bizarre. Is it? You know what? Is it? What is the boiling point of potassium sulfate? Alright, potassium sulfate boiling point. It is... No, I don't want to ask Leo. Fuck you. According to Wikipedia... Yeah, it's like... So the boiling point of potassium sulfate, like I said, it's a salt. It should be crazy high. And sure enough, it's 1600 degrees Celsius. Excuse me, closer to 1700 degrees Celsius. So, I don't think I'm putting potassium sulfate over the distillation. I don't think that's the case. So I'm not precipitating out potassium sulfate. Alright, let's add some more nitric acid. Maybe that's just some form of contamination. But I am not sure. Ooh, how am I going to dry this stuff after I've made it? I mean, I can't put it in the oven. It'll explode. I guess just leave it out for a long ass time. Don't touch it. I think I should try to isolate fluoride next. With these laboratory procedures, what could go wrong? Fluoride. Fluorine. Fluorine is the element name. Yeah, I've still got... So obviously this solution is hot now. So some of the nitric acid is decomposing. I'm getting a lot of nitric oxide. And the solution has become very red. But at the same time, there's some white solid in there that... what is that? Does anyone know what that is? That white solid? What's in there should be theoretically nitric acid with probably water contamination. I mean, the nitric acid was made by mixing potassium nitrate and sulfuric acid. What we end up with as products are potassium sulfate and nitric acid. The nitric acid has a boiling point of 86 degrees Celsius. Water, obviously, 100 degrees Celsius. There's water contamination and everything. What the hell am I making? That would be a white solid from just mercury. Now, the mercury is an industrially sourced mercury from a tilt switch. So it's contaminated, but not terribly. It should be 98, 95% mercury. But as far as I understand it, dissolving the mercury in the nitric acid should result in a clear solution with no precipitate. What the fuck am I making, guys? I mean, that's... So to make the fulminate... First of all, the fulminated mercury should be a gray solid powder, not white. This appears to be white. Maybe I've made exceptionally pure mercury fulminate without adding the alcohol that you need to add. That'd be... Maybe I'm super good at chemistry. Alright, I'm gonna wash my hands, but before I do, I am gonna go ahead add a little bit more excess nitric acid to that, wash my hands, get a cigarette. I mean, could it be some kind of copper salt? Could the copper from the contacts have gotten that in there? Maybe. They might have added something to the mercury, you know, to prevent it from amalgamating. I don't know. I'm still getting reactions. I'm still getting bubbles out of that. So I'm not gonna. If that white powder remains, I think the best way to go about it would be to decant all of the nitric acid and hopefully mercury nitrate? Whatever. The mercury ions. Hopefully get all of that out of there, and then I can add alcohol to that and see if something precipitates out. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm still getting bubbles. I'm still getting reactions. So maybe that white shit'll dissolve. We'll find out. Where's my lighter? Where is my lighter? Got punches, thank God for that. No lighter, though. Where's my lighter? Fine. I'll go get one. See, why is that still decomposing so much nitric acid? You know what, the white powder does actually appear to be disappearing in that. So, is there an intermediary product? Very strange, very strange. I don't understand it at all. How's this going? Woo! Woo! Alright, perfect. And, we might be done on this guy. We're just about. Oh yeah. Oh, that's way hot. Ooh. Ooh, we are definitely putting water over on that. That's the other thing. I found out after you do this potassium nitrate and sulfuric acid reaction, you definitely want to dump the flask with the, well, it'll end up being potassium sulfate mixture. You definitely want to dump that before it solidifies, because it will solidify. It will turn into a big giant chunk in the bottom of the flask. Yeah, that's water. That's water. I'm putting water over. I mean, I got a little bit of acid, but not enough. I need to. Oh, that needs more. That needs more potassium nitrate. Otherwise, it's just pathetic. Well, maybe I can add more with a big spoon. Maybe a big spoon will make it so it's safe to add. Get some loose potassium nitrate. Okay. I mean, do I have a funnel? I don't think I... let me see if I have a funnel, maybe. Okay, now remember, we're putting this reaction in a crazy, absurd excess of sulfuric acid. So there's still way more sulfuric acid than we technically need in here. I want to believe. You know what? That didn't explode in my face. Let's try, and I'm definitely making more nitric acid. There's already more orange coming over. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I don't want to touch that funnel for a while, but that is definitely more nitric acid to be made. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, okay. So the trick to adding more potassium nitrate to a reaction that's already going is just don't be bad at it, I guess. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's already more product coming over. Hell yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Drip. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Before this had all cleared up. And now we're getting more nitric acid being made. I added more potassium nitrate and it didn't go terribly, terribly wrong. What a beautiful day. There we go. Yes. Yes. And like I said, that white solid is definitely actually dissolving in here very slowly but surely. I kind of wonder if that white solid is actually maybe just mercury, undissolved mercury, unreacted, excuse me, mercury, basically just suspended in a bubble of its own foam that it produces as it dissolves. Seems possible. Maybe. It's all maybe. All my science is maybe. That's the best kind. Need more distillation, please. Right. I turned the heat off to add more potassium nitrate. Yeah, I don't think there's a snowball's chance of me showing it on camera. But essentially some of that mercury dissolves or reacts. You see bubbles coming off that mercury, coming up almost to the surface of the nitric acid and then falling back down. I almost think it's possible that the mercury gets separated into little chunks, right? Excuse me. So you'll have one big bead of mercury, and then it'll react and it'll split apart, and in that reaction produce a shitload of gas. And that gas will lift up those little particles, but some of those particles are actually kind of big, and then they have enough surface tension to grab onto the bubble that was lifting them up and drag it back down. Like, I wonder if that's possible, if that's something that's happening, because that white, I assumed it was a solid that was precipitating out, but first of all, it's also dissolving. It's like redissolving, I guess, if it is actually some sort of other solid that's being produced. But also, like I said, I'm watching the mercury that's still in there, the solid mercury, dissolve. But then, as it's dissolving, it spews up this foam that then jumps back down, which doesn't make sense for any kind of product, I don't think. Might be wrong on that. There's a lot of things I don't know. One of them is chemistry, so... But I think we're going okay. Ultimately, I think we're going okay. Our cotton balls are nitrating seemingly okay. They always do this thing. So when you first add the cotton balls to the nitration mixture, they very distinctly turn orange. Like you can watch them instantly turn orange. But then after a little while of sitting in the nitration mixture, they clear up and whiten back up, except for there might be like some little specks in the cotton balls. Very strange. Now again, I do feel those little orange specks are probably like, well, contaminants, maybe little clumps of lignin or something. You know, industrially, gun cotton previously was very apparently, obviously orange. I'm thinking that's maybe because industrially, obviously, they would have used not raw cotton, but very low processing cotton. They would have used very cheap cotton. They would have used bulk cotton. Cotton balls that you buy at, Walgreens or whatever, are very ultra highly processed and refined. They're very, very, very pure. Way more pure than they would have been using industrially to make gun cotton. So I think that's the main thing that makes it so the gun cotton I make ends up looking very white. It looks very clean. Alright, are we getting somewhere on our distillation? Besides orange. We're getting a lot of orange. We're not getting... Okay, we are carrying stuff over now. Let me go take a piss. Oh, yeah. What the fuck? Oh, never mind. Okay, now we're getting vapor. I wonder, do they make boiling flasks? Like, boiling flasks like glassware, I'm saying. Specifically with etchings in it? You know, to negate the need for boiling chips, or is that not a thing? Because I'm pretty sure this glassware being cheap and crappy and abused is actually making it a better boiling flask. Because I don't have boiling chips, and it's nucleating fine. I'm watching bubbles form just fine in it, without bumping or anything like that. Be interesting if they did. I imagine that would that actually be useful for like a chemistry lab? You know, a proper lab to have a specific boiling flask that has etching specifically inside the glass. I suppose probably not. It would make the boiling better. It would make it so you don't need boiling chips, but it would also make it fucking impossible to clean. Unless you just use piranha solution, I guess. If you use piranha solution, cleaning is negligibly difficult, so. I love chemists. I love how there was a chemist somewhere who said, I have this glassware I can't fucking clean. You know what? Fuck it. Let me just make the most caustic, absolutely tenacious fucking solution I possibly can to dissolve it. To dissolve literally anything. Literally fucking anything. It'll just completely destroy it. Let me make a solution like that. Somebody did that, and now other chemists have said, you know what, that's useful. Let's just use it all the time. I'm going to emulate that despite the fact I'm making, like, basically literally the most caustic mixture known to man. Piranha solution, if you don't know, is a concentrated mixture, or excuse me, a mixture of concentrated sulfuric acid and concentrated hydrogen peroxide. And, yeah, it destroys everything. It's extremely aggressive. So if you have any sort of contaminant that is, like, persistent and you can't get it off the glassware, just use piranha solution. It'll destroy everything. It'll destroy your marriage if you ain't watching too close. Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. If you watch videos of piranha solution at work, it's nuts. All right. Thought my heating mantle just made a very strange noise. I was like, that's probably not good. It didn't, probably. Probably just the voices again. Ooh. 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 Oh, God. Oh, I need to turn the heat down. Oh, dear. I know you guys can't see it, but there was very suddenly vapor there. Like, it's somewhat disconcerting when you've been running a distillation for a little while, and then all of a sudden, there's a big cloud of vapor in the distillation flask.
Meow. Meow. Meow.
What's wrong, buddy? Rations.
Meow.
Meow. What, buddy? What's wrong? Am I not paying enough attention to you? No, you're hunting. You're busy. Okay. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? My guy.
Meow. Meow.
Rations is exploring the basement again. Okay. Is this stuff? Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like passivation, I guess. The mercury kind of reacting and then getting encapsulated by the foam it creates. Very strange. Like I said, it's a little bit like passivation. Because this reaction still seems to be running. It's not foaming anymore. But you can very clearly see a density discrepancy. Like you can see the little swirlies that come about when you add two liquids of different densities. Diffractions in light. Oh. Oh, he's gone into the hole. He's gone under the house. He's gone into the crawl space. Rations has. So there's no bubbling anymore, but there's still that. Obviously, the white chunkies in there are still dissolving and creating a layer in the nitric acid. Rations. Wow. What? So, What a goofball. Ah! Oh, Barbara, are you okay? Yeah. I always wonder about those monasteries. So, Saint Barbara here is the patron saint of miners. Apparently, that's miners with an E, I would say. And my buddy Guzzo sent me this. But he bought it from a monastery. Not a monastery, excuse me. The woman version of a monastery. What's that called? Coven? Can't remember the name. Anyway, basically a monastery, but for women. He bought it from those. I always kind of wonder about those industries that are still monasteries. Like, that's such a strange model. Because it's a business model. It's a business model. Like, I get it, you gotta pay the bills. I'm glad, honestly, that it still exists into the modern era. What is that called? A convent. He bought it from a convent. And their industry, what they do to keep the lights on is making icons. Hope those gals are doing well. But this is it printed? It's gotta be printed, right? Let's see. Oh yeah, it's printed. Obviously. I mean, obviously they didn't pay some nun to fucking sit here and detailed paint this shit. They printed it. How's my gut sort? What is this? Is this not moving anything over anymore? Is this still, I mean, I can move it up. My solution is cleared out. There's not much orange in here, which is usually kind of a good sign for distillation of nitric acid. So the nitric acid decomposes as you're distilling it, obviously. So during that process, it will churn the flask and the distillation glassware orange. But then as it starts actually coming over, it will clear out. Basically, the nitric acid vapors will overpower the nitric oxide and just push it out of there. Um, but I've cleared up, but I'm also not getting many drips. Like, it's not moving very fast. Distillation has slowed way the hell down. So I'm wondering, am I just putting water over at this point? How is my cooling water? How does my cooling water feel? Very cool still. So that's not a concern, I don't think. Maybe I wasn't. I'm gonna have to distill this fucking nitric acid again. I know I am. So maybe I should just kind of drive it way too hot. Yes, it'll push some water over, but I'm gonna be distilling it again anyway, so who cares? Yeah, that's okay. I think I'm feeling pretty confident about my hypothesis about that white solid forming in my mercury solution here. I'm feeling pretty confident about my hypothesis that the white solid is not a white solid. It's just mercury encapsulated, if you will, by the foam it creates. Now that I think about it, every synthesis I've ever seen or heard about, of course, uses the stir rod, which I'm not using. So, without that mercury being agitated, it's very easy for it to have a little bubble of mercury form that is entirely encapsulated by air. Well, not air, but whatever the product, the gaseous product of the reaction is. And there's even, okay, so it's mostly like tiny, tiny, tiny little white particles. Again, I'm pretty sure it's just like a speck of mercury encapsulated with hydrogen gas? Whatever gas is formed by the reaction of mercury with nitric acid. But there's also much larger clumps, if you will, they're exactly the same color. They're exactly the same. They look the same, except they're larger. So I'm pretty sure it's just a blob of mercury, totally enfolded, encapsulated by its gaseous product, and thus passivated. So ultimately, we give it more time. Theoretically, I could put a stir bar in there and stir it, but I ain't gonna do that. Instead, I'm just gonna let it sit there. My nitrocellulose is still nitrocellulosing. I think we're on the right track with that. I think adding heat to that, again, mistake, don't do that for home synthesis. My distillation is now moving with a little more alacrity. It's still quite a bit slower than I would like. But it's moving. That's water. Why am I having so much reflux? I mean, we're looking at like 100 mils of nitric acid. Nitric acid water mix of an unknown concentration. Okay, now we're driving. See if I can grab the camera and show you. Show you what the vapor's doing in the distillation. Maybe. So possibly, maybe. Careful. You can see the vapor coming up the neck there. It's refluxing a little bit, but we are getting that vapor cloud into the condensation tube. See how it's spitting in there and then immediately condensing? And we are getting a drip. Slowly but surely in our receiving flask. Now it's still quite a bit slower than I would like. And I'm looking at, I mean, I'm heating quite substantially. So I think our best option, again, to drive the reaction as far as we really ideally want to, is just to overdrive the hell out of it. Put a lot of water over into our receiving flask, yes. But this receiving flask, we're gonna end up redistilling it anyway, so maybe with vacuum, who knows? Maybe I can finally, properly get a vacuum attachment and try to distill over nitric acid, white fuming nitric acid. Wouldn't that be exciting? I mean, redistilling it is definitely workable, as we found out. Even at standard pressure. Like, it makes a very, very, very usable product. Okay, my vapor's reaching a little bit crazy far in there now. I mean, I could go get some aluminum foil. Insulate this neck. Excuse me. I could go get some aluminum foil, insulate this neck right here, and kind of help it move over so it doesn't reflux onto the sides of the flask so much, which it's doing a lot right now. But again, I'm not 100% sure really how much nitric acid I'm actually moving over at this point. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the reaction off. I think we're maxed out on what we're going to make today. And it's not much, to be honest with you. Okay, before I shut it off, let me go ahead and put aluminum foil over it and see if it really increases the reaction. Very warm, you know that? So like that. Loosely. Loosely. Ow! Hot! Hot! That shit's way too hot. Holy moly. I might have to stop it just because that shit's way too fucking hot. Like, we're getting to the point I'm worried about cracking the neck. I'm worried about cracking a glass here just because of the temperature differential. Don't want to do that. I'd prefer to avoid that if I can. Rusty, yeah. Sword. Hell yeah. Wait a minute. Let's see. Ah! 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 Oh! See? That's what I'm saying. The auto pistol doesn't like the Gila ammunition. Ow. Stabbed by my own sword. Ha! Well, that time it locked open. See, the first time it didn't even lock open. Is this stripping more? No, not substantial. You know what? I'm going to turn that off. This reaction is done. This reaction, believe it or not, is slowly getting there. The mercury and the nitric acid. So I'm going to have to cover this and probably let it go overnight. First I have to find something to cover it with. which is its own problem. But, like I said, you have to dump this flask hot. The boiling flask on your nitration reaction. Or not nitration reaction. Your potassium nitrate and your sulfuric acid. Because the resultant potassium sulfate is a solid.
Wow.
And if you let it, it will congeal in there very, very, very well. Alright, so we can unplug the pump.
Meow.
And start getting our distillation apparatus taken apart. You can live in there for a while.
Meow.
Okay. And I present to you, sirs, our nitric acid, which again just really just looks like piss, to be honest with you. Slightly more orange, very orange piss this time. So we know it's contaminated, and it will have to be distilled again, but before I distill it again, I'm gonna add more to it at some point. This time I know, like, you're always gonna end up reacting in an extreme excess of sulfuric acid. Okay. Clean all this. wonder, can this broken cylinder, can they cover this? Yes. Yes? Yes. I mean, it's not perfect, but yeah, that'll do. Alright, that'll work. Is that too hot? No. Ow. That is. Ow. Oh, that's still too hot to do anything with. Oh dear. It's also sealed together very well, unfortunately. Alright, let me see. Let me go try and take care of this with hot water. Okay, well, the good news is I managed to cool off my boiling flask and my little adapter without exploding the glass. The glass. The bad news is that the boiling flask and the adapter seem to have fused and become one with each other. So, yeah, I guess this is just my dedicated boiling apparatus now. I mean, that's what I've been using it for, so that's good. Sure wish I could separate them, but we'll take what we can get. Apparently what we can get is a good set of these, clean, washed out, but not separated. Separating is beyond us at this point. But I'll go ahead and see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully I'm going to be able to do something tomorrow. But otherwise, I'll see you guys.